Welcome back, everybody. This is the third video of my Ironman journey, and this is my first full Ironman. For those of you who do not know, my name is Sarah, and I am racing to raise funds for mental health awareness. So you can check out the first video to hear more about that and my journey, etc. So let's get into it. This is the last week leading up to my first triathlon in 4 years-ish. So I've been doing triathlons for a little while now. I started in 2014 and did them up until about 2019 when the pandemic hit. I did my first half Ironman, and then I did not race for a while. So this last week, what I'm really focusing on is sleep, trying to calm my anxiety, because this is my first triathlon and it is in a lake in Florida. I'm a little bit anxious about the creatures in the water. I have never raced where there might be alligators. So that's something on my mind this week, trying to meditate and be calm about it. And I did a group run the other day for the first time in forever. And I told some of the people there, and they're like, oh yeah, like swim in the middle of the pack, jokingly, to make sure that, I'm not on the edges and I'm not alone and that kind of thing. So anyway, not to freak anybody out, that's just what's on my mind for this week. Really focusing on getting enough sleep, focusing on making sure that I'm hydrating enough. Those are the two important things for me, because I know for me, if I don't do those two things, race day really sucks. And so I want to make sure that race day is as set up and pre-planned as possible, so that when it comes down to it, that I'm not forgetting things. I want to do an equipment check. So this week I got my bike into a shop to do like a safety check and quick cleanup before the race. So I'll have my bike back on Wednesday, and the race is on Saturday. So for those of you who don't know, what does training even look like leading into race day? It is not what you might think. Some of you might be thinking, oh, if you're doing a race this week, does that mean like, you're training a lot this week? And that's really not the case. So peak week, which is where you're training a lot, like a higher volume, faster speeds, etc., is usually 2 to 3 weeks before race day, and then you taper. So this past week, I peaked. I did a lot of training. I did more, instead of like 45 minutes per session, it was more like an hour and a half-ish, an hour and a half per session, with a really long ride. It was like a 2-hour ride, and then a 7-mile run, followed by a swim over the weekend. So it's longer this past week, which whooped me out, but it was cool. Now I'm hitting higher mileage than I have in a very, very long time. So I have not run 7 miles in probably 4 years, since that half marathon, since the half Ironman in September of 2019. So that was cool to do. And honestly, doing more group rides and group runs is what I want to focus on, because as this distance gets longer, I know for me, I start to lose motivation. And so that's something that I'm going to focus on moving forward. But anyway, so that's what training looks like, and what the week before the race looks like, and what I'm going to be focusing on as we head into race day. Doing another video about an equipment check in more detail after my race. So I want to make sure I'll record like my race and do a little vlog about it. I'm doing the Claremont Triathlon. It's an Olympic distance, so it's a little under a mile swim. It's a 25-mile ride and a 10K run. That's 6.2 miles. So that's on Saturday. I'll let you guys know how it goes. You'll see a video on it next week.